Hi, this is Misha, or should I say Kapla? That's about all I know. This is a look at the Klingon fleet. And these are, of course, the Eaglemoss. Most of them. I haven't included the couple of JJ ships, but I will in a different video. And this isn't literally everything the Klingons have been seen with, but it is pretty much all the warships. They have freighters and carriers and stuff for civilian ships, which I'd be happy to see, but, you know, at least they have the war ones. Now, interestingly, we have 10 ships on the table, and 5 of them are for Enterprise. So Enterprise was really good at finally giving us more Klingon ships. They did not have that many, considering how much time they had in Next Generation, Deep Space Nine. So yeah, let's just begin with the Klingon transport ship. This is often called the Goroth transport ship. It's not huge, but it's not tiny. It's about 90 meters. It does have weapons, and it is a military transport. This is one of those ships you will just, that's pretty much unique to Eaglemoss. I think the size is good. I like how heavy it is. It has a good weight to it. Nice ship. Nice to have at least one semi-civilian or one non-attack Klingon ship. But let's move on to the fun stuff. Now this is one I was really curious. I had no clue what it really looked like. This is the Raptor. This is a scout ship. First encountered, I think, Season 1 of Enterprise. It's not an especially tiny ship. It's about 135 meters, but it only has a crew of about 12. No cloak, of course. That's one good thing Enterprise did, was not giving Klingons cloak. Has disruptors. It does have photonic torpedoes, which kind of wish they hadn't done that. I'll be honest, when it comes to the Klingons in Enterprise, my biggest thing is I wish their technology was kind of more on par with humans, and therefore the threat would have been just from their aggression, but whatever. This isn't a critique right now. This is just looking at a really cool ship. This is one of the earliest Eaglemosses I picked up, and I love it. It is mostly metal, good. It looks like a scout ship. Neat job. I really like this ship. And it doesn't look like a, later Klingon ship, like the Romulan ship from that era. Kind of looks newer, but this, to me, seems like it's something appropriate for the 22nd century. Moving on, we have the D5. Now, this had been mentioned in Deep Space Nine, and I believe it may have also been mentioned in the animated series. I can't recall right now. It's not really one I've only watched maybe once in my life. But this is their top-of-the-line warship, battlecruiser, for that era. The funny thing is, it's not that big. It's about 190, 195 meters. But it's armed to the teeth. It has 2 heavy disruptors. There is a carrier variant, a deuterium tanker, I believe. I really like this ship too. It fits in well with the D lineage. And by Season 4, the technological difference between humans and Klingons was more appropriate, I say. That's what I think. But this is another one that is unique to Eaglemoss. And then I had no clue what it looks like, and I was really excited to open the box, and it's neat. I like it. This is another one I was really happy to get, and it seems like this came into Enterprise and they were starting to kind of get it about ships and stuff. This is the early Bird of Prey. This is a gunship. We're at about 115 meters. We don't really know the crew, but it doesn't matter. No cloak, thankfully. The wings seem to move, but not as much as later Birds of Prey would. This thing has tons of guns. It's got 1 heavy disruptor, a couple of standards, a couple of light turreted disruptors, It's got a little turret on the bottom. It's neat. The ship's a little light because of all the polymer plastic, but it's a neat ship, and these are often sold out, and I was really happy to pick this one up. I think I got the last one they had in stock, but it's nice to have a different bird of prey, because they sure reuse that one a lot. And kind of the final Klingon ship from the Enterprise era. Where are we at here? Yeah, there she is. We have what's called the Augments ship. This is a pretty small vessel, probably 60-70 meters. Kind of maybe a forerunner to like the Borel. It's an attack ship carrying troops. Probably has a crew of 6 to 12 disruptors. It's a neat Klingon ship just to fill out. It kind of is there. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. It's just another Klingon ship, and we were sorely needing more, so no complaints. Relatively light, but feels solidly made. So let's move into the more modern era. Of course, we have the D7 from the original series. The only Klingon ship we have from the original series. Classic, and the Klingons even had to share this with the Romulans. And it was only in, I think, 3, maybe 4 episodes after the remastering. I'm not sure. This is their typical battlecruiser and the successor to the D5 and presumably D6. It's about 230 meters long. Has a crew of over 400, about 4 to 450. Typical disruptors. This is just the Klingon battleship, and it was built in large numbers. Seems like they kept it in service through at least the late 23rd century. Obviously, the Romulans got some too. I like it. It's kind of has that retro basics. The model itself has a lot of metal to it, a lot of body. Although, I knew what it looked like because there's been D7 models forever, since well before I was born even. Now here's the Katinga. Little less common model, but from the original motion picture, and would keep being reused through the Deep Space Nine, so these would be in service through the Dominion War. These are often mistaken, even by producers, for D7s. They are not. In fact, they're a little shorter. They're about 215 meters. It's a little slimmer, longer neck. These can have cloaks sometimes. Still more modern design. Basically, it was just the movie refit for the original look, because it kept the basic look in the same way the Enterprise from the movies kept the basic look. Neat though. It's more plastic because of how it's made, and this was technically my very first Eaglemoss ship to come in, so it's pretty neat for that. Moving on, you know, they had to do a bird of prey. I get it, they really had to, but good grief, everyone's done the bird of prey. So it's not really anything special, unfortunate. It was cool when it was introduced in Star Trek 3, but this is the true definition of overused. They beat the hell out of this ship. They really did. I do subscribe that there's at least 2 versions, the Borel and the Goroth, with the Borel being the small scout ship version with the crew of 12, about 70 meters long, and the Goroth being about 150 meters and having a crew of about 36 to 50. It's the bigger destroyer version. The armaments seem to be the same. Really, these just have to be made because the producers kept changing the scale on this thing over and over and over again. They used it so darn much. I mean, it is a neat design, but Eaglemoss has done all 3 wing position versions. I actually like the flight version best, but I grabbed the attack version just because. Then they had to do it and I had to pick it up, but it wasn't something I was excited about. It's so ubiquitous that, it is what it is. I'm much more like the Vor'cha class here. I always kind of thought this appeared in the Next Generation in Season 3, but it kind of got short shrift. They kept using the bird of prey and not the Vor'cha here. This is their modern ship, at least as of the Next Generation era, but they were still in heavy use as attack cruisers, battle cruisers. This would be the successor to like the Klingon. It's a little under 500 meters, about 480, 490, I believe. Disruptors, cloak, photon torpedoes. This was the Chancellor's flagship early on. This is a cool design. I knew what this looked like because we had models and micro machines and stuff back in the day, but this model is well done and I like it. And see, now we're getting into where they just keep repeating themselves. Mostly it was Bird of Prey and Vor'cha and Klingon for years and years. Finally we got the Negh'var, sort of in the opening of Season 4 of Deep Space Nine, technically, although this model and a different variation appeared in the last episode of Next Generation. This is the Vodi, whatever. Some people don't like this model. It does have some flaws, but I think it's neat that we have a Negh'var. And they did a lot of things right, too. Has the largest disruptor in the head here, which is pretty cool. Large nacelles. It's got the pods underneath. Definitely adds to the fleet and gave us another ship. It's really just a redress of the Vor'cha, but they scaled it up. This thing is about 680 meters, so a good nearly half again as long, definitely more than a third. Now the crew is ridiculous. A lot of places say like 1,800 or even more. That seems like a lot of Klingons. I don't know if you want to stuff that many Klingons into such a tight space. That seems like a recipe for disaster and also very interesting smells. But anyway, it's a large ship. It was usually a command ship or like an orbital defense ship. They were pretty expensive to produce, so they only made them in relatively limited numbers, still kind of leaning heavily on the Vor'cha. And you know it, the bird of prey. It's not that I don't like the bird of prey, folks. It's just, yeah, overused. But at least Enterprise kind of corrected it, giving us all these new ships, including a new bird of prey. And there's a nice lineage here of Klingon ships. We pretty much have scouts, birds of prey, kind of destroyer types, and then we have battle cruisers. So there seems to be 3 basic classes and types, and they're just neat. I was really happy. Along with the Federation ships, these were the first I ordered in the Eaglemoss, and yeah, no real complaints. Nice to have, nice to finally know what some of these look like. Well, if you'd just like to talk about Klingons or ships or whatever in the comments below, we'd welcome that. If you liked the video, please click like. And if you'd like to see our main channel, please click on the link and check out Mishaco, where we have our professional reviews and stuff. Well, this is Misha. And I will catch you next time.